The Articulate Coven is the original, unofficial podcast and fan community for Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire and Anne Rice's Immortal universe from AMC and AMC Plus. Welcome to The Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are The Articulate Coven. Ashley, what an episode.
Oh my God, you guys. I was a mess. And I even for my rewatch, I literally just finished it about an hour ago because I was having a really hard time just making myself go back to it again. It was so tough. It was really great. But I was right. That hurt more than it's ever hurt before.
It absolutely did. It absolutely did. Your prediction there was 100%.
Oh.
We've got a lot to talk about in the episode, of course, but we've got a lot of stuff around the episode to get to too. So I want to dive straight in today. First of all,
Yes.
a big thank you, something that we mentioned in the last episode. This is some follow-up. Eileen Say in the Facebook group answered one of our queries. It is a magnolia tree in the Dubai penthouse. There are pink and white varieties. Armand brought his tree from Paris. That's the one that's planted in their house. And Ashley, I think later in this episode, we're going to see some other things that are in that room.
Yes. Ew and yuck and gross and what the fuck.
Okay, so Armand mentioned in the last episode, an interview about our time in Paris is more of a tangible reminder than some painting, blah, blah, blah. And
however,
he's got a tree planted in the other room that is both from the Paris Coven and also, anyway, what the hell? Thank you, Eileen, for straightening us out on that. Okay, so it's a beautiful magnolia tree, by the way. I want one of those in my backyard.
I believe she said it was a tulip magnolia tree, and I recognized it once I saw it, for
Nice.
sure. I think I just call those tulip trees here. But yeah, they're beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous trees. Yeah. Fucking assholes, man.
Okay, so I want to respond, and I'm not going to speak for you, Ashley, but I want to own up to something I think that definitely happened in the last episode. You and I both, admittedly, we were laughing at it, but we both made comments about the brusqueness of the face down, take your clothes off, get in the coffin,
Right.
you can read it to me while I fuck you, right? And the dismissal of the fact that Armand was actually working. Personally, I do not have any experience or honestly much knowledge of the Dom-sub relationship. And I do think there's an aspect of that that's being played out between Armand and Louis that I don't understand. And I think occasionally read as, if not abuse, then at least a lack of regard.
Yeah, indifference or
indifference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally am of the same. I'm in the same mindset too, and to have that pointed out in a couple of different ways, it does I'm like, oh well, I need to start looking at this a little bit deeper and a little bit less surface and try to identify those, because that's not something I've ever really thought about with their relationship before, and it's definitely possible that that's a piece of it for sure, especially considering how volatile it seems on the surface to us. And then, God, they're bound to need some creativity in their lives, being, immortal and all.
Well, and it's interesting how, first of all, this is absolutely one of the reasons why I love having this podcast and the Facebook group and all of our social outlets and the fact that you guys all give us feedback on YouTube and everywhere else, because we do occasionally miss things because we don't have perspective or we don't have experience. And so when you lay something like that out, it doesn't ever hurt my feelings to be told that I'm not looking at something from the right way, because what it does is it just makes me understand it on a broader level. Then I'm already enjoying the show.
Yeah, I want to be smarter. So if you've got something to toss at me that's going to make me smarter, please do. We are not those people that are not here for correction corner or not here for, suggestions about different ways to look at things. We want to be those people that listen and can learn more. And all it's going to do is make the story more vivid. It's going to make the story more tangible to different people for different reasons. And I love that. And we want to include all of that. We want that inclusivity for, all the different types of people and lifestyles that are being represented.
100%. Hundo percent.
Hundo
There you go. Dab on it. I'm sorry, I channeled my 14-year-old for a minute. No cap, guys. So no, but real. Okay, so
nothing but Riz.
Lots of people gave us some version of that Dom feedback. Here's the other thing, though, that went a little further than this. And there was a great comment on the YouTube page that I wanted to acknowledge, and I'm having trouble reading the username. It's like English cow. It's not a clear. Anyway, great comment here. Thank you. They said, first of all, sorry guys, but you went way too far with your criticism of Louis. Abuse, really? The rough sex with Armand, very clearly consensual, and they expound on that. And just as we said, it's the Dom sub dynamic. But to say that Louis is abusive because he is being domineering in the bedroom and has trouble saying I love you when he starts to get committed, that's a step too far. Plus, you guys seem to imply that he knew Lestat was in Paris, and thus whatever happened during the trial, he will have it coming. That doesn't really make any sense. He loves Claudia more than anything, and he would never let her return to Paris if he had any inkling that she would be in danger. Did he fumble the relationship with her? Oh, yes. He sure did, and it's heartbreaking. But whatever guilt he feels, it's not about knowingly luring her in, or, God forbid, not being nice enough to Armand so that he wouldn't sell them out. Maybe he subconsciously feels that Lestat is close. I think he's so used to Lestat's presence in his mind that he probably has no idea what that means. He felt the presence in the room before. Yeah. But maybe, though, it was just a hallucination. Maybe thought it was just a hallucination, not an actual hint that he was there in Paris. So, a couple of things there. One of the reasons why, and this went on to a further conversation, I was like, no, they know that they're in Paris because we know that they're in Paris because they're in the same cafe. In my mind, the cafe where the abduction takes place at the end of last episode was also the cafe where Armand and Louis go and have the conversation about how Bruce is still in his head and his heart.
Right. And Dreamstat's playing the piano.
Exactly. It is not the same cafe. Clearly not the same. I swear to God, I watched it twice and was still convinced. But a lot of people confirmed with images, no, not the same.
Yeah, we got pictures. We got a breakdown. Right, we got the receipts. It was fantastic. We got the receipts for sure.
Including the second cafe, the cafe where they meet Madeline and Claudia, has at least a couple of same-sex couples dancing in the background to the jazz band that's on stage, as opposed to Dreamstat on the stage at the other location. But everybody does, or most of the feedback that I got seemed to say that we still think that location is also in Paris. And the couple of reasons why, first and foremost, the Coven, even now under Santiago's direction, probably wouldn't have left the city or not gone far out of the city. And they were all there to abduct the group. So that's one. Two, though, Madeline specifically mentions that they've been burying bodies at Saint Denis, which is like 5 kilometers outside the city center of Paris. So it's not. This is like in the suburb somewhere of Paris. They had come to Paris to visit our pair. The question, the dialogue there is about, are you going to return to Paris? The question is, are you going to stay? Not are you coming at all? You've already come. We're here. But did you come back to stay? And that's what Madeline sloughs off. No, Paris stinks and it's full of men
and
dressed
so do
badly
the men.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, mea culpa on both those things, honestly. I think we were a little harsh on Louis in the last episode. I will say.
It's just because it's very un-Louis to me. It's not, I mean, it's just, it's, in this world, I can accept it, and in this version of Louis, I can totally accept that. But it's very unlike book Louis in a lot of ways, to be that aggressive, to be that. I mean, he is not the one I would expect to be the Dom. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, no. Well, but although in this world where we talked a lot in season 1 about how we even made the joke about Louis being the neck of the relationship, moving the head wherever he wants to.
That is true.
In his previous relationship, he had that control with Lestat and didn't use it, didn't know how to use it. Here, he's got another opportunity, and why wouldn't he, in the rebound, say, one of the ways that I'm going to guard my heart, right, is that I'm in control of this relationship, literally in control of this relationship.
Yeah, and explore different facets of myself in this space, with this person or this vampire. I guess person's not entirely accurate.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we always. These
are not people, y'all.
Anything that Ashley and I say, first of all, it comes with the context of the 50 episodes that we've done before, the fact that we've been talking about these vampires together for 25 years, but also it comes with the context of we know they're monsters. Like, no, we wouldn't actually want Lestat to show up and visit us because us or somebody we love is going to die.
Joel.
Like shush, Ashley. Don't. I'm trying to do the PSA here.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, it's really easy to forget that these are fucking vampire monsters and that they're horrible and do horrific things to people constantly because we like them.
Yes, let's talk about these horrific, terrible, very bad vampires that we love so much.
That we also love.
Okay, credit where credit is due. I'm going to jump straight into the episode now. First of all, thanks everybody for the feedback. Genuinely, we take it.
Oh my gosh,
we've got more of it to talk about as we go, honestly. But credit where credit is due. The commercial breaks were well done this episode. Right, there was one really that I noticed at all, and it was an appropriate time. Thank you, Jesus and Daddy Mark Johnson.
I think this episode was there's so many things that are in this episode on purpose to be disjointing, to make you feel off kilter, to make the characters feel off. And I think that if there were any bad cuts, it probably served this episode better than it served any of the other ones.
I love how it started. Daniel's trying to break the ice as nobody wants to talk at all.
Right.
And then finally Louis goes into, I could not go to her. I could not help her. Man, this opening, first of all throughout this episode, we get some truly horrific shit. As you like to point this out, from this is sold as a romance. It's a vampire romance, folks.
Right.
There's blood and gore and guts galore.
And horrific things and torture done to each other and one another, and it is completely horrifying on a lot of levels. This was rough. This was a rough watch, and I cried for the last probably 15 minutes of it nonstop, and for probably about 5 or 10 minutes after I finished it.
One of my favorite things in all of Shakespeare probably is this. I don't love this play. This is not my favorite play, but Romeo and Juliet, right at the end, what is it? It's the prince, right? The local prince is the ruler. He says, all are punished.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like, listen, we can argue about exactly how much culpability all of the main players have in this whole thing when it's all said and done, but none of them get out of this alive, so to speak. I mean, they all got skin in the game, and everybody is hurt by the time that this is over. And it's a hurt that has ruined the last 75 years of all of their lives.
Right. And it's, and yeah, this would do it. You'd have to really fuck with my memories to make me forget this shit, to be honest. Like, it's so well done. Lord, the danger in the whole thing is so intense, and you do feel like the fear just coming off of them, the anger just coming off of them, the way that Santiago keeps Madeline like under his kind of spell and control the whole time, and is whispering things to him. I was listening with my headphones on, and I could swear I heard him say something about kittens.
I wish that we could get an isolated audio track of just what Santiago was feeding her, because I bet it would be fucked up.
Horrifying. Like, I was listening so hard with my headphones today. I was like, did he just fucking say something about kittens? Jesus Christ. Well,
okay, the mind control period, the idea that the group of judges behind them, anytime they actually had the nerve to speak up, the three accused, Madeline, Claudia, and Louis, anytime they had the nerve to speak up, these judges behind them would literally shut their mouths with mind control. And Louis describes it as a vice on their skull is what it felt like. I don't remember this anywhere in the books. You know, when vampires,
I don't either.
When vampires hold other vampires, it tends to be first and foremost like they do later in this episode. You put them in a coffin and lock it in some way,
right.
Or you know, you can pin them in with the sunlight in some fashion. You know, like put them in a cave that the only exit is through the sun or something like that, or generally it's like chaining them up, right? You weaken them first, you drain them, and you beat them real good, and then you chain them so that they can't get up, and you don't feed them well so that they don't ever get stronger. But like,
well, I think part of it was also
this is new.
Yeah, and that in combination with the sliced Achilles tendons
was
fucking awful. Like, that was so gross to me, and such a great like nod to other horror movies that happens in Pet Sematary.
Okay, the thing that rang to me last, especially in my second watch, the first time I was like, oh man, this is some more stuff that I'm gonna have to try to keep my eyes closed mostly for, like look at the wrong corner of the screen or something. And it's so gushy too. Those effects are just unbelievable. But the thing that it made me think of, and I couldn't think of where I placed this information, but in my mind, this was something that was done to runaway slaves.
Yeah, I think that is accurate as well.
Well, it got put in one of the feedback loops in our Facebook group. I think somebody mentioned that this whole trial, honestly, was very much leaned on the angry black man tropes.
Yep.
And it was effectively an all-white audience. Even that fact is emboldened by when they put the lights on them, because they don't have stage makeup, they're even more white. Or you've got the vampire groupies in the front, which we'll get to them in a minute too. But anyway, it was this all-white crowd jeering and leering at the intimate story of these two African-American individuals and, you know, their white companion. But it was effectively... Well, Claudia calls it later a stoning.
I'm so shocked it wasn't a lynching that she said. Yeah,
I think it was probably debated, don't you?
I'm sure it was. I mean, it had to have been, you know, and I mean, it's a
loaded word.
Yeah, it's a very loaded word, but you know, let's call it what it is, and that's exactly how it felt to me. It felt the whole thing felt so racially charged, and it did have that vibe, especially like that angry black man, angry black woman vibe, and that's how they were treated. It was just so fucked up.
Yeah.
And like made to shut up, made to quiet. You don't get to speak for yourself. You don't get to speak up for yourself. You don't get to tell your side of the story, even though half of what's coming out of Lestat's mouth is probably bullshit, you know?
Santiago uses the phrase chilling meditation when he was referring to Claudia and the diaries and how he was going to show that she had planned this all ahead of time. But like, this trial is chilling premeditation. Man, for them to have gone to these lengths, to have planned
these fuckers
it,
have rehearsed it. Oh, Lord. And I mean, obviously we got all the clues about what was going to come together, you know, the color film. So we're upgrading our quality of our background display there. And then, obviously, I mean, I knew immediately about the observatory, lens, and we called it with them calling for Lestat on the Eiffel Tower. I mean, everything was lined out exactly how it was going down. It's just like, how the fuck did Louis not see any of that coming?
Okay, we've called her out in previous episodes, but Rebecca Reesness, our fellow Louisiana Tech Theater alumni, congratulations.
Go Dogs!
Listen, I don't know how residuals work for extras. I mean, she doesn't have a specific line of dialogue. There's crowd jeering, and she's not even featured in one of those exactly, but she gets so many shots in this episode, and I'm sure they were so proud of the makeup and the way that her whole costuming came off. They kept going back to her. Amazing. She's given great reactions too, but like, damn it, she is so. I hope she gets residuals, because this episode is going to make her some bank, especially once it gets to Netflix. Kudos,
right? And maybe you know, they fell in love with her enough that they're like, oh, well, we kept a lot of makeup on you all season. People might not recognize you in a different role.
That would be fantastic, right? I mean, look, they got to go back to Paris, and I would not be surprised if we use Prague for some of that, like, rural, Parisian, not Paris, but like rural French countryside, whatever.
Well, especially
estates.
now that they've already built up those relationships there. They have vendors there that they've been using. I'm sure it makes it a lot easier, and I'm sure it's a hell of a lot cheaper than, trying to diddle around in Paris.
Man, seeing Santiago and Lestat on stage together is something, right? Like these two preening divas.
It was something else, and I'm so excited. I want Ben Daniels to be in everything that's ever been made and everything that's ever going to be made going forward. I don't know how this actor has never been on my radar, but I'm about to dig into his backlog pretty hard.
One of the ones I specifically saw somebody call out, he's in, I think, the second season of Foundation, which is on Apple TV Plus. It's been on my list for a long time, so I'm going to get to that. But
he's in the next season of Rings of Power, too, which I'm
and that's coming out, I think, in August, right?
Yeah, that's going to be fucking great. My little nerd heart's so happy.
Okay, I love the first correction from Lestat. It's a story of love, not butchery.
I mean, there is some butchery. There's definitely some butchery, like it's a little butchery here and there. We get a lot of things retconned here. I'm really interested. Again, I don't think Lestat is a reliable narrator. The fuck either.
Okay, let's start right here. We can't have it both ways as Lestat fans. He can't be showing Louis the truth in these moments where he takes him out of body and takes him back to New Orleans, as Louis describes it, and also being controlled fully by the judges and Armand, right? Those two things can't both be true. So he either wants to be there or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, then the so-called truths that are unearthed here are more called into question. I'll say first, I think Claudia's making, and we're going to get to that in a minute in more specifics, but I think that addition, I think, is absolutely true because Louis even owns it and says, let's put Lestat's version in the novel, I think. And I think and again, everything that we see isn't a rewriting completely. It's not an erasure of what happened before. It is addendum. It's new context.
Yeah, it's new context. That is something I did like, that it wasn't like, oh, we just erased everything and I'm showing you an entirely new thing that happened. That it's more like added onto as opposed to like, no, it didn't happen like that the fuck at all. No, it happened like that, and also this happened too. You're just not remembering it that way.
Okay, so do we believe that, first of all, what is Lestat getting out of being here? We know that he was called, but like, what did he need from the French coven? Why would he take part in this?
In the book, did he not need Armand's blood?
Yes.
To kind of do some healing?
Yes.
And I mean, he looks good, so I'm guessing he's probably picked up some nice blood somewhere, But he wasn't there before they started calling him. So, which I thought different. I figured he was already there, had been getting the good blood from Armand for a little bit to heal up, and then they put this whole plan into motion for the revenge aspect of it. But he fights so hard against it from time to time that it's, and goes off script and I don't know. It's so this episode was so fucking fantastic.
I get the implication that there was a quid pro quo expected, that there was still, whether he had gotten blood previously and they were holding it over his head, or like, and we'll kill you before you leave here if you fuck this up, or I don't know. I still think that we're going to understand eventually that there was enticement for his continued involvement. But it is also clear to me that there are moments where he was, if not outright defying their plans, at least extending their plans from what they wanted, because we see it. We see Santiago's reaction. He's gonna attack him, and Sam says, keep calm and carry on. Anyway, I I don't know. I'm not giving Lestat a pass, and I think there are some things in this episode that clearly show he doesn't deserve one. But at the same time, I do think we've yet to hear all of the implications of why he was there and why he stayed and etc. So
no, I agree. It's more of a question mark for me, even than it was before.
So, a couple of things. I love the opening line of Lestat's story. Love has always been difficult for me.
This man, my God, has any bit of casting ever been so perfect?
I am only 6 foot tall, and I have perfect blonde hair and startlingly blue eyes, and
everyone that meets me falls in love with me.
My body is a sculpted statue. I don't know why I cannot find love.
It is tragic.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Okay. So, there's a quick shot to the balcony here, and we realize for the first time right about this point that Armand is in the building.
Yes.
And Louis gives him an excuse in that he's being held hostage. Now, okay.
Right. By Sam.
We've seen Armand shut the entire coven's minds down instantaneously and hold them there for as long as he wants to, while he's also freezing an entire restaurant around them so that he can make a power play and stop a dick measuring contest between Santiago and Louis. We don't buy that Sam could hold him in that room, right?
I saw the most perfect the most perfect meme for this, and it was Armand and Sam, that shot of them, and then right underneath it was the shot of that door that's locked and it's being held shut by a Cheeto. And I was like, yes, that is 100% what it feels like. Like the padlock has been replaced by a Cheeto, and that's what's holding him there. Yeah, I don't buy it. I do know that there's danger for him for sure. Like there's danger for him, and he doesn't want to overplay his hand, because I do think he is 100% invested in figuring out how to get Louis out of there.
Yeah, I think so. I think the calculation for Armand is not whether or not he could survive. There's no question he could. Even Santiago and all the rest of them, he could literally just light most of them on fire. And the ones that he couldn't, he could beat the pulp out of. He beat the shit out of Lestat. Like, we already saw that once. Like, it's fine. Okay, but, I don't think he's confident he could get Louis out alive if that's what he did.
Agree. Yeah. I think he knows he has to play it really, really close to the vest to be able to pull off what he's trying to pull off.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the deal.
And the thing is, I don't think he gives a shit about Claudia. I don't think Lestat gives a shit about Claudia until it's way too late to give a shit. You know what I mean? So I think the only one that gives a shit about what's going to happen to Claudia here is fucking Madeline.
Well, I think in retrospect too, I mean, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just saying let's give it the context. I think for Lestat and Armand, they both have always viewed Claudia as a failure waiting to happen. That Claudia was never going to last. Claudia was never going to work. This is a sad end, perhaps. Maybe both of them feel that way, but it's what was going to happen eventually anyway.
It's a better end than probably what could have happened.
Right, because she could have killed Louis too.
Right, and furthermore, they see her as a threat to Louis because she is volatile and she is, unpredictable, and she is a rule breaker, and all of those things are dangerous for Louis.
Oh, I forgot to mention Sam guarding Armand in the box is holding a scythe. I'm certain we won't see that scythe again.
No, that's not a Chekhov gun at all. When has a scythe ever been used in this series?
Okay, so I wonder. So early in this season, it was during the flashback episode where we see Armand and Lestat in the box, and Armand says, "You were a better death," talking about whoever's doing the role now on stage, and Lestat said, "The scythe does most of the work," and I immediately thought, I wonder if that scythe's still in the theater. It is. It's still around.
Yes, you don't throw out a good prop or a good weapon You just replace the parts that need to be replaced.
That's right. Lestat says, I disembarked for New Orleans, the humidified daughter of Paris. I fucking love that line. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. The next time I get there, back in New Orleans, the humidified
daughter of Paris. Yes. Yes, she is steamy.
Okay, all right. We haven't mentioned it specifically on the show yet. Happy Pride Month, y'all. And
hell yes.
That's not coming from me. That's coming from a brick throwing bitch named Lestat. Listen, the scene where the army man calls out fags from the balcony, and then
delicious.
Lestat, first of all, just that he jumps to the balcony and scares the shit out of everybody up there.
Out of everybody in the theater.
He reads that dude to filth. And also, somebody was like, I'm mad that he didn't eat him there in the balcony. I'm not, because what he did, he guaranteed that dude a beating, probably to death, in the alleyway of that theater as soon as him and his buddies leave, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a deserter.
Such a coward, you piece of shit.
Stole their whatever benefits they were getting post-war, all that shit. Yeah, fuck you, buddy. But then also, it's a beautiful line from Rollin and the writing team and this creative crew to every single person who has written this show off from the very beginning, because their Lestat and Louis weren't like that. Yes, the fuck they were.
Yeah.
Listen, I just started the Vampire Lestat novel that came out in 1984, and in 1984, the opening fucking chapter of the Vampire Lestat is Lestat bemoaning Louis' absence, and it's not because they were roommates, you fucking homophobes.
It's so true. And the other thing is that even before he's a fucking vampire, he has this entire relationship with Nikki. Like, they're not just BFFs, guys. He's in love with him. They're in love with each other.
Let me tell you something about Jonathan and David in the Bible, too, friends. They were not roommates, okay? They were fucking. I don't know what to tell you. Get over it. I do love that Lestat calls it the transcendent love between two vampires of the same sex. Yeah, motherfucker. Like, yeah, listen. It's messy for sure. And as we said, everybody in this show is monsters. But also, this is a love affair that these two are still talking about and moaning over 80 some odd years later. Like,
yeah. And representation matters, even if they're fucking vampires.
Listen, it's just like, just because you don't like Star Wars doesn't mean that you're a homophobe or a misogynist. But when you tell me you don't like Disney Star Wars, my guess is it's probably because you're a misogynist or a homophobe.
You're definitely a misogynist.
If you start telling me about how you haven't watched the Interview with the Vampire series, even though you're a giant Anne Rice fan, I mean, I'm going to try to give you some due, because there are all sorts of reasons why. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, this is our chance, and they're not going to tell the story as I had it in my head. I get it. And I know a lot of people felt that way about the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies.
My God, I don't know how you can hang on to shit, hang on to the minutia so hard to let yourself not enjoy something that's so well made. You know, like, you just have to be, it has to be just so, it has to be just your way. Why the fuck didn't you get out and make the series then, buddy?
You should have written a script. You should
get to work. Get to work, friend.
I mean, and that gets me to another point. Somebody mentioned in the Facebook group today, Rashid was talking about, everybody wants to make an Anne Rice show, but nobody wants to make an Anne Rice show once you get right into it. First of all, that's not true. Like, we were here. Nobody wanted to make this show. Nobody wanted to make this show first of all, nobody wanted to make the movies for the 20 years since 2004, whenever the Queen of the Damned movie, 2002, 2003, something like that, Queen of the Damned came out. Nobody had made it for 10 years before that after the Interview with the Vampire movie. Why? Because they're very gay. Nobody wanted to touch
hard.
These. Yes.
Yeah. It's not easy to adapt this shit either. It's like, think about the plot line of the Vampire Lestat, like the current time plot line of that. Like, that's going to be hard for our guys to do. So I don't, no one wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And And if it had been done, it would have been so watered down. Like, for instance, the Queen of the Damned film that did not include Louis at all.
Yeah. No, or even really the twins. Like Maharet and Makari aren't really in it. Like Maharet's in it, but like not like you want her to be. There's no story of the twins. There's no like, one of my favorite parts of Queen of the Damned, and slight book spoilers, but these dreams that people all over the world, vampire and not, by the way, not all the people that are having the dreams are vampires, but people are having these dreams of redheaded twins, and it's slowly drawing the plot together over a long, long period of time. First of all, that never could have been done in a movie, but it definitely wasn't done in the movie that we got. And now we're getting a real swing at all of these stories. We're going to get a real opportunity to get adaptations. And even if we don't love the adaptations, for instance, the Mayfair Witches, I'm going to talk them up for a minute here too. The Mayfair Witches is not the adaptation that I wanted. However, that show will bring hundreds of thousands of people for the first time to those novels, which means that in the future, you are guaranteed reprints, you are guaranteed merchandise, you are guaranteed all sorts of things that will come in and around your book, new fandom to keep it alive. That is what we all want, or we should want for our thing. Like, if you want it to die with you, well, I'm sorry, it's not going to. But
well, that's a bummer. Like, why does your way have to be the way? Why but that is something that frustrates me about people's opinions about adaptations in general, or like a series that's growing and changing. Like, I fucking love Star Wars, and here's my fucking hot take. If you only like the first two movies because you thought you were too cool for fucking Ewoks when the third one came around, you're not a fucking Star Wars fan. You liked two fucking movies and jerked off to Princess Leia in that bikini, and that's all you did, buddy. The rest of us have stuck with it and have stayed with it and have welcomed new stories, within the universe, welcome to new characters that broaden our horizons and tell better stories about the fucking world around us. Why don't you want that? And that's not to go off on anybody in our group. That was a valid conversation we were talking about.
Yeah, that like, is not to pick on Rashid.
Not in the least.
Of the same conversation in general. And I don't. And here's the other thing too. Like we're not saying that any nitpick that you have with a show.
Fuck no.
It's that doesn't make you a hateful person. But what we are saying is, why rob yourself of joy? First of all, if it's not for you, don't hang out in the fandoms where everybody else loves the thing, probably, because that's going to make you feel bad and feel like a stick in the mud. But also, there are too many other things to enjoy. Like, man, every time I find some time to watch TV or a movie, I think to myself, what a shame that I can't just watch it all. There's so much that I haven't gotten to from the past, and there's so much being made every day on all these streaming services, and a lot of it at a very high quality. We recommend a lot of it here. My point is, if you don't like this, then just go and find the thing that you do like. But just because you don't like it does not mean that it is not faithful to the original, or it's not a great adaptation for fans of the show or fans of the books, or that, it's a waste of space or a shame that they got the rights. Like, we are lucky to be here.
Yeah. We are very lucky people.
Super excited for what's about to happen to this fandom as it gets to Netflix in the next couple of months.
And if you read those books and didn't think these vampires were queer as fuck, I don't know what books you were reading.
Yeah, man. It's like
I don't know what book you were reading. I have no fucking clue where you were, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's like one heterosexual relationship. I mean, in all of it, and even one of the people in that relationship, at the very least, at least one of them is bi or pan.
Yes.
Like, if we're looking at Marius and Pandora, which is like the only heterosexual relationship that you see, we know that Marius is into boys.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, Pandora's kissed a girl or two.
Well,
I'd kiss her.
I think she says that in the novel. Even she's a little sapphic, but it's not really her preferred. Anyway, okay. By the way,
pardon our tirade. Happy Pride.
No, I knew as soon as he jumped up into that balcony, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have a word." Actually, here.
Yes.
I don't get to preach, y'all. I'm not that kind of person, so I have to do it here occasionally. All right, Ashley Hamilton in the Facebook group wrote, I was so waiting for Lestat to eat him. My grandpa was at Baston, so really this dude is double trash, a homophobe and a deserter. First of all, thank you for your service. I'm so sad Lestat let him live. Huge sigh. But Ashley, I didn't say this in the Facebook group, but there you go. Don't be sad. That motherfucker got beaten to death in the alleyway.
Either that or Lestat ate him later in the day. Like, I mean, right. After they finish this matinee performance, he's got some fucking time to kill, so...
Where lies their disgust now? So fucking good.
And he snarls, like he just snarls that. Yeah. That is, and I'm like, more of that, please. More of that, Sam. My God. Like, I am very excited to see this, like, that, yes.
So the interaction between Santiago and Lestat is great throughout, but here I love, he starts... Louis didn't take to vampirism, and then Santiago, yes, Louis didn't take the accused. Didn't take to vampirism.
I mean, he's trying very hard, and the whole structure of it is to dehumanize them to a degree that everybody's going to be fine with them getting lit on fire here at the end.
Man, so I kind of dug Lestat going into the crowd and making the guy feel vampiric loneliness.
Oh my God, yes.
Is it true? Is that true that the worst thing that a vampire can feel is loneliness?
I think it might be, because I think about that with like Highlander.
Yeah,
that
the
movie
Freddie Mercury
series. Song. Yeah, it's like everyone you love is going to die eventually unless they're a vampire with you. So like that is heavy shit, you know? And I mean, our characters run into that, you know? Louis is running into that with his family aging and his mother dying, and fuck, Lestat turns his mother into a vampire to keep her from dying.
Yeah. What does Armand tell Madeline when everything from your era is gone, or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, we mentioned it earlier. Let's get to Lestat's retelling of Claudia's making.
Holy shit.
First of all, beautiful. All of those scenes are like really lovely. In particular, the one where first of all, it's so fucking nasty feeling, because again, the effects are amazing in the show. But Claudia's burnt to a crisp, and Louis is dragging her
across the ground, begging him to turn her into a vampire.
Ooh.
That was so horrifying. And we don't see Claudia that burned in season 1.
No.
We don't see her, like, you don't ever get that close up on her where she is fucking dying. And this was so horrifying, because it's like it's a complete disregard for her. Like, Louis is begging for Lestat to turn her into a vampire, but he's dragging her almost dead body across the floor without any regard to like pain. She's burned. Her entire fucking body is burned, and he's using her like a fucking prop.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's such a good call out, because he says that about the trial earlier. We were props. We weren't characters in a play. We were props in a play. But oh my God. And I mean, it shows in the way, okay, so he's leaning at that amazing angle, and Lestat's leaning away from him as Claudia's lying effectively dead on the floor. I mean, like, God damn, it's all so good. But then the lines, he says, I'll do anything. I'll be anything. I'll stay with you forever. Mm-hmm. Oof. Motherfucking oof.
Yeah, and if you said that, you fucking lied, bro.
Yeah.
You fucking tried to kill him and left him.
It is how it happened. I didn't think it at the time, but yeah, there's a couple of moments in this episode where we get great moments of realization from Louis. One right here where we get it in the present. We get another one slightly later. No, actually it was I'm not sure when it comes, but it's when Santiago is talking specifically about Louis turning, and he says, there in full view of the two dead priests, he reached up with his hands and took your face and gave you the kiss of acceptance. And Lestat says yes, but Louis is crying and nodding his head. He's realizing, I knew exactly what this monster was, and I begged for it in that moment. Mm-hmm. Yes, I wanted it too. So I love those moments. Jacob Anderson's getting he's earning his paycheck in this one for sure. Oh man.
He was fantastic this whole episode. Like, the makeup was so good. Like, they looked so beat up. I will say, and before I forget, because we're past it at this point. That was like very minor use of the rat box, can I say? So I really hope we get better use of the rat box next episode.
Oh yes. Are we there already? I thought it was still ahead of us here. So we get the episode 5 fight revisited. And okay, first
and
of
it's
all,
worse. It's fucking worse somehow.
It is worse somehow. But also though, first of all, I think even as of last week, imagined that the drop might not have happened, or might not have happened like we saw it play out or whatever.
Right.
So in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't take it away, right? Like,
right.
It's not anything that he does in the books. That's true. But Lestat, as described in the book, is a real dickhead in a lot of ways. He's a bad master. He's a bad maker. He doesn't lead them in a good way. He doesn't give them the information that they need to function. And he doesn't, to go to Star Wars.
He's angry too.
Well, yes, but there's that great line in the Last Jedi. They are what students are what
they become. Yeah.
We are what they grow beyond. That's what we are. That's the curse of masters. We are what they grow beyond. Like, even in the relationship, when Louis is telling him these terrible things in the midst of this fight, when he's goading him physically, I'm going to wrap my hands around that scrawny neck, and I'm going to cut your head off. I'm going to throw it in the bayou, and I'm going to laugh.
I'm going to walk it all the way down to Audubon Park and feed it to the lions.
Yeah, all of the even in that moment though, Ashley, even in that moment, first of all, in most of your relationships, you would be the smaller partner. But in that moment, when somebody's 100%. Talking to you like this, you don't grab a knife and stab them, right?
No.
If it's me, I don't punch them in the nose until they stop talking shit. That's not the answer to that situation. The answer is to realize how far fucking gone that relationship is.
Right. And how much danger you're both in.
Yes, how much danger you're both in. If you can fly,
danger.
Just fly the fuck away, right? That's what Lestat should have done. So we're not excusing Lestat here,
no.
But we are making it make sense, even to those of us who know how much he loves Louis, why he would have done that. How could Lestat ever have done that to Louis? Well, he gets the shit beat out of him. He gets the shit beat out of him for 30 minutes. And say horrible
things to each other.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I mean, there's so many levels of complete fuckery in this relationship. But I do think he finally just got to the point where he just kind of snapped. And he was like, fuck it, I'm going to let you go. Boom. He pretty much admits to that. He was like, no, I dropped him. I fucking dropped him. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to fuck him right up. Like, he says that, basically. He admits to that part of it because Santiago tries to, like, soften it. He dropped him, but nope, that's not a big fall for mortals. Well, yeah, and no one ever came back and said he didn't fucking stick his fingers through Louis's lower jaw and drag him back into the house either.
Yeah, at least they didn't show us that again, thank God. But yes, no, the written line is that he was fine, and Lestat is like very clearly he was not fine.
He was not fine.
I wanted to hurt him and I broke him.
Yeah.
Man, I love that he owns it. I love that he asked for forgiveness. And I love too the resolution of that even. Okay, so Lestat's line is a wolf congratulated for not killing her pup.
Yes. Oh.
Okay. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but here's my read on this. I think he was being controlled to some degree. I think he was being fenced in very directly, and I think this whole thing was under the promise of something. Maybe he was promised Louis, right? Like I think the one of Armand's deals was that they wouldn't kill Louis. I don't know how that was going to play out since it looks like they were trying to burn him on stage.
Yeah, they were definitely Santiago. That was definitely Santiago's plan.
Yeah, it was going to burn him right there at center stage. But I don't know what Armand's deal was other than to save his own neck. I don't know what Lestat's deal is, but my guess is that it was both under duress, and then I think also at times he was being manipulated as well.
Yeah. I think sometimes he was being held in that chair. I think that's one of the reasons why he wouldn't sit as much, and Santiago would seem a little antsy if he was up and walking and doing too much. And I think I think maybe they were like, at times he was being forced to stay put too.
Yes, like fenced in, effectively, psychically.
It definitely
somehow
had that feel to it. Same sort of thing. That's like, I mean, they physically did it to our 3 props by slicing their Achilles in a way that they wouldn't heal before the end of the matinee show.
Man,
but
okay.
It definitely felt like they were like he was not in complete control of his self.
We see some more of the mind control here and the squeezing of their brains effectively. And it's I think it was last week that I said I almost feel sympathetic with the Coven, the way that it's laid out in this series. Yeah, like fuck the Coven, man.
Yeah, fuck them now. Like we got fucking played, Joel. We got fucking played.
Man, okay. I just want to acknowledge the amazing job that Delaney did in this episode. In particular, right here, they give her last stand. You know, they stand her up as the accused. They do the vote or whatever, and then she says, "Can I have my last?" Or no, this is even before that. It's after Lestat's apology. She stands up and starts talking. She says, "Can I cry and say I'm sorry too?"
Yes. And I love that. It is so like, and that's another thing that like, that just reeks of like racial shit to me too. It's like how white folks will fucking weaponize our tears and sadness about anything shitty that happens to people of color. You know, I'm so sorry this happens to you all. Like, no, you're making it about you, asshole. You know, and it's totally had that feel to me there too, when she's like, "Oh, can I cry and make it all okay?"
Here's one that I saw literally like today. Somebody was posting about the fact that you know, it's been like 2 years since Will Smith slapped Chris Rock or whatever. And he's making another movie again. There's news that came out about a big thing that he's working on currently.
He just did Hot Ones.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, okay, so we're all just fine with Will Smith now." I've seen that backlash quite a bit. Meanwhile, I can't remember the guy's. The Star is his last name. The guy that plays Homelander in The Boys.
Oh yes. He's fantastic.
Okay, he literally in the show, I believe I agree with you, but he literally cracked a bottle over some like a waiter's head or something.
Holy shit! Are you serious?
Absolutely, like 2 years ago, and screamed
Didn't even hear
some
about
version
it.
Of. Do you know who I am? When there was, issue about it. Yeah. So anyway, but nobody talks about that. Like literally, he was on the cover of People magazine this week or something. So
That's
like
fucking gross.
But one of them is white and one of them is black.
Yep.
Like very honestly, and we see that across industries. It's not just the entertainment industry where that's the case.
But call it the fuck out when we see it. Let's call it out. Like it's bullshit. You know, like. As Southerners, we especially need to be calling that shit out, you know?
Yes, 100%. They call me Mr. Tibbs. That's effectively what Claudia says. She stands up and says, "Put some respect on my motherfucking name," actually.
She was just luminous this whole episode. She just fucking took it to the house. And I'm so impressed. I'm sure that Bailey would have killed it too. But
yeah.
Delaney really, really set herself apart to me in this season as just being a version of Claudia that I can really, really get behind.
I mean, this is one of those happy accidents. Like, you know, Die Hard was supposed to be a Schwarzenegger movie.
Jesus.
And it would have been fine.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be Die Hard.
No.
You know?
It wouldn't be one of our favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. So this is the line I'm sure that's going to be in the Emmy reels, is my guess. "One more round in the stormy romance of you two. Never been about me. I was just a roof shingle that flew off of your house."
Fuck.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, and I imagine that that's just a fucking very real way to feel. if you've ever been stuck in the middle of something that didn't really fucking involve you but affected you tremendously, you know, like, and bless her, she never until this, no one ever chooses her, you know. Fuck, she finally, Madeline picks her. She has a chance to join the coven, and she's like, Claudia's my coven. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, fucking ma'am. That's the stuff I'm here for.
Just a couple of things there. So first of all, it just occurred to me, really, like, Claudia is literally every child of bad divorce.
Yes.
Like, how much are people living through her cathartically and dealing with some
and
of this
how
shit, maybe?
how parents will use their kids to manipulate each other and that kind of
pawns.
shit, you know? Ooh, it is fucked up. It is fucked up. And I mean, my parents didn't divorce until I was an adult, so I don't really have that particular point of reference, but like that just screamed through to me, like you're just, nothing has ever been about her.
Okay, so my coven is Claudia, though. First of all, excellent performance there from Madeline as well. Like really good. Less to do with than Claudia had, but still amazing. But go ahead, AMC, and print the merch with my coven is Claudia. You're gonna sell a lot of those. But also,
I get a T-shirt and a coffee mug.
Okay,
come on.
I see that as in-universe shit too, okay? I see that after this novel is published. That's the kind of thing that's held up as a sign at Lestat's concert. That's the kind of thing that's graffiti on the wall in the vampire bars, right? Claudia,
I love that idea. Yes, I fucking love that. I like anything that's going to keep Claudia's spirit alive for us. I love Claudia. I always have. I've been fascinated with that character, just her being frozen in time, and especially in the book when she's so young, she's 5, and it's the absolute fuckery of all of that is just mind-blowing. And to see her played out so brilliantly and so well by Bailey and Delaney both, and to see her meet her end with such defiance and such anger and ferocity, and it was just breathtaking for me, you know, when she asked that guy to take off his hat, and now I know every one of your faces, and if there's an afterlife, I'm gonna come back and fucking kill every one of you. My girl. I loved every moment of her in this episode. She was so pissed sitting there. She was so angry. Like, you could tell she was in pain. You could tell she was scared, but she was just exuding fury.
Claudia's curse is one of my favorite things in the whole show, I think, honestly.
My God.
It's not in the books. This is not in the books because obviously it's not done like this on a stage. So it's totally different. But I think it works so well. First of all, it works even if they never do anything with it. It's a great defiant moment for her, right?
It's beautiful.
She doesn't let them see her sweat, so to speak.
Nope.
Even
she's
in this
standing
moment.
in her own space and fuck you about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna die on my feet, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But the second thing, though, is in the books, Claudia's ghost, or at least the idea of Claudia's ghost, actually does matter quite a bit.
Yes.
There are mortals and vampires that are impacted eventually by something that purports to be Claudia's ghost. Now, I don't think it's ever clear in the novels whether it is in fact her spirit or whether it's a malevolent spirit that's adopting that personality. Right. I don't know. Or
how much of it is just fucking guilt.
Right. Literally guilt.
Over the fuckery of what you did to this person.
Or the horror of unearthing it, you know, if you read her diaries or something, you know.
Right,
you get fascinated
absolutely.
with it and caught up. But I think especially with the Talamasca series in production, I think Claudia's ghost is going to be a plot point moving forward. And it could be a way, I mean, I hope they don't get rid of the dreams of the two girls, but it could be dreams of Claudia that begin some of the gathering of the vampires in the lead up to the Queen of the Damned storyline, you know. So
yeah, that's an interesting thought.
You know, there's interesting ways they could use that in the future. They've sort of burned one of the primary storylines, the concept from earlier of Louis going into the sun. That's really done because of Claudia's ghost in the novels, and so I don't think they're going to do that exact thing again. But it did occur to me, okay, book spoilers, slight. At some point, Armand attempts a trip into the sun.
Yes.
What
Yes,
if
he
that's
does.
because of Claudia's ghost eventually?
I mean, I almost found that more viable than the
Then
reason
what
why he
happened in
said
the
he
books?
did.
Exactly.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Because it's personal. This is very personal. Like, this is not. Oh, this is this shit is personal, and it's vile, and it's vengeful, and it's angry, and it is not fair by any stretch of the imagination in any way, form, or fashion. So there's a lot of like negative energy being left out in the ether from this incident.
I think it's the most powerful sentence that Armand said the entire show so far. I could not prevent it.
That could not prevent it.
I mean,
And
we both.
that is lifted from the book as well, I believe.
I agree. Yes, I think it. I think it is as well. I think we both agree that he could have prevented it in several different ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could have. He definitely. Maybe there wasn't much he could do in the moment at that time in that fucking theater
To save her life, at least. Yeah.
To save her life at that moment. But those motherfuckers, we have been all hanging out together for months now. You could have done something. You could have done something when you were still had power and were still in control of your coven. You could have done something, and you chose not to because part of you wants her to fucking go away because you want Louis to yourself.
Yeah, and to me, that's even worse here than it is in the books because of the fact that Claudia is a little older, because of the different relationship with Claudia and Madeline, they could have made it on their own.
Yes! They could have been just fine with Claudia being older. Claudia fucking killed all of those people in Madeline's house pretty soundly and fucking cleaned up her mess. You know what I mean?
So Louis is banished because Armand expends all of his energy, as we are sure is the absolute truth. He expends all of his energy making the humans in the crowd not say the word death. They say banishment instead.
Banishment.
And so the idea is they're going to drop him off at the Belgian border, but of course they're not really going to do that. They're going to bury him
bullshit.
in a coffin and let him die downstairs of starvation instead of being burned in the sun.
Joel, what's in the coffin?
Rocks, a lot of rocks that are just
Tiny
like the
little
fucking
white rocks?
Just like those rocks under the magnolia tree. It's his coffin rocks that are in the magnolia tree.
Yeah.
I'm 99%. If it's not his coffin rocks, it's a coffin we have yet to see from that same location. Those are coffin rocks.
That's the coffin rocks.
Yeah, those are coffin rocks from Paris. I can guarantee you. They came with the tree.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, okay, well, you just left a big pile of shit in the middle of your very nice fucking penthouse. And it's a pretty pile of shit, but it's a pile of shit that you have to walk around every single day and think about what the fuck happened in Paris.
I mean, it would be like if he had a giant golden record of Come to Me permanently playing in that room or something. Like
it's just
I don't know about you, Ashley. I don't have any paintings or pictures of my exes hanging in my house with my current wife.
I do not. I would not. Why? No. Why would you? Jesus God.
So Santiago, before the final moment here, he reverses his normal final speech. Normally he says, everything you're about to see is real and you are culpable and I love you for it, Right. And then he kills whoever the mortal is on stage. Here, they're going to sacrifice these vampires and he says, everything you're about to see is fake. You have no culpability in it. Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry your pretty little head
about it. And I
it.
hate you for it. I think there was some discussion of this in the group. They're like, okay, so all these people saw these vampires burn. They're not going to mention that when they go outside. I think they might, but they're absolutely going to
but they were like, I saw
the
coolest
show.
fucking play.
Yep.
I just saw the best play. Yeah, I swear to God, the special effects were amazing. I don't know how they made it look like they burned those two women in front of me.
Man, Claudia singing as they burn.
I almost threw up.
I mean, I love it.
Threw up. I started crying so hard. I was like, I'm gonna vomit. I think I'm gonna puke.
I love it though because it is literally like. It's the most horrible thing she could think of to show them in that moment, right? Like she doesn't have any props. She can't Deus Ex Machina that's going to save her. There's
No.
nothing to do, and just flipping him the bird isn't good enough. She's already done that. Madeline did anyway earlier. No, this is, I'm going to make you sorry that you wanted this, actually.
Yeah. And she's holding Madeline, like close to her, like her womb, like her abdomen, and she's holding her there like, this is my child. And it was beautiful, and it's such a juxtaposition to the way it was done in 94, which was Madeline was cradling Claudia and trying to protect her as the sun comes up, and it's totally the opposite. And it was so brilliant, and it looked so beautiful, and then it looked so horrifying. And I guess, Madeline's younger, she's newly made, she kind of goes to dust pretty quickly, but our Claudia burns in that light.
Yes. Well, I mean, for one thing, Claudia's 35, 45 years old as a vampire already at this point. Like, and we know she's got strong blood. She's got that first generation strong, I guess second generation, because he had already given it to Louis. But yeah, she does last a little longer. Maybe honestly, one of the arguments I think that some of the Marvel folks made with the end game, well, I guess it was Infinity War, when Spider-Man gets dusted, he lasts longer than everybody else does. He gets to talk a little longer. And some of them said, I saw some of them say some version of, well, he's got a healing factor and his powers were sort of like trying to fight it as it went. The best answer, though, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody said it was his willpower. He was just hanging on. That's the thing here with Claudia. She was just hanging on for one last more fuck you. And it was impressive. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's a wonderful moment. And I'm glad. This is an example, though, Ashley, you mentioned it, that it's a juxtaposition to the 94 film in the way that they are positioned. And this is one of those things. Rashid, we mentioned him earlier. He mentioned the comment about Claudia's age. I wish they had cast, closer to the age in the books. But this is an example of one of the things we gain when you age her up ever so slightly.
Right.
A 12-year-old couldn't do this for us. This moment, Claudia doesn't need saving. No one has come to save her, and she could give a fuck less in that moment.
Yeah.
But she continues, even in death, to save Madeline. And that's very, very powerful. I really love that imagery.
And she continues in death to be defiant. She continues in death to try her hardest to leave on her own terms. It's just, so awful. It was so awful and hard to watch. It was really well done, but it was, fuck me, I've been dreading it, and it was even harder than I thought it was going to be.
So in the moment, I was upset because the episode ends effectively with Claudia's death. We get a great shot, by the way. Kudos. We see over the ashes, we see the crowd filing out, and then Santiago.
Oh, that asshole
but
picks
we
up
don't
her dress.
I love that we don't see his face, right? Claudia is centered there in that moment. She's the only one front and center, even though she's not there anymore. But in the moment, I was mad because I mean, you guys heard it. I thought for sure we're going to finish this story completely, which meant the retribution, the revenge as well, the fallout of this moment, what happens to Louis, et cetera, et cetera. I thought we were going to get all of that this week, and then next week would be all new. In retrospect, I think they did it exactly right. You needed to finish this episode. You need to sit with it for a little while, right? There is no retribution, there is no revenge, there is no hint of what's to come. It's just the grief for what was.
There's ruin. It's just ruin. That's what's left.
Yeah. All are punished. That's exactly it.
Fuck, man.
So there is more to come, though. Thank goodness. We do get some hints in the trailer at what we can expect next week. And I think it's going to be surprising exactly the way that it all lays out. And I do think we've still got some revelations to come, including potentially exactly what Armand's part in all of it was, and what part Lestat had to play too. What was being held over his head, if anything, and how did he get there, and why did he stay, and why didn't he help, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, I loved the way she ended up locking eyes with him. Claudia to Lestat as she's burning apart there at the end in the last moments. And I saw an interview with her where she said would she say that she can't trust anyone there. he's the one she trusts the most that's in that room at that moment. Ugh.
And she was almost begging for help.
Yeah, it's just awful. It's awful. Awful, awful, awful.
Let me tell you what's not awful, Ashley. Mark Johnson either made up with the editor or he hired a new one, I guess, because he killed it this week in the episode Insider. Good job, team. Good job indeed.
Yes,
good job. Good
edits.
Effort.
We appreciate better edits all the way around. Thank you.
So a couple of behind the scenes stuff before we wrap up this week. So next week is our finale episode. We'll try to get to it at least by Monday evening, just like we're doing this week. If not before, of course, we'll have some thoughts on it. You can imagine. So we might need a little bit longer to process.
Or we might need to talk about it immediately. I don't know.
Yes. However, there will be something new. This is the last week that Ashley and I can get away with having laundry on our beds behind us in the camera shot. We're going to be on video next week, everybody.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay. I promise I'll put on some mascara for you all.
Yeah, that's right. I'll keep thinking I'm going to wear a baseball cap a lot, I think, probably. So here's the deal with that. We will do a video for next week's finale. If you guys can get us to 500 subscribers on YouTube, we'll try to shoot video from now on out. Our platform can handle it. Like Ashley and I have both done it before. We do it obviously for work occasionally. So yeah, we'll start shooting video, and you guys, those of you that want to watch the video on YouTube can. We know some of you are listening already on YouTube. Now you'll have that option to watch along with us as well.
I'm sure our facial expressions will be choice.
Yes.
We're very animated people.
You can also, some people have asked about, getting live reaction videos to when we watch the show. Realistically, for when Ashley and I get to watch the show the first time, I don't know that we'll be able to do that regularly, but we've talked about, hey, maybe we shoot some shorts from that type of material. Maybe every now and again, Ashley and her partner, Brett, get together and do that. Maybe mine, Kelly, and I do that on some Sunday morning when we're watching the show in the future. So we'll try to do some of that. In between here and season 3, or actually I should say in between here and Mayfair season 2, which will be our next tour of duty.
Yeah.
So it is exciting to know that our breaks are going to become fewer and fewer as we go, because already we've got Mayfair coming, and then also in 2025 we'll have Talamasca, and then
oh my God, I'm so excited.
Either late 2025 or early 2026 we'll get season 3 of this show, whatever that becomes. We're going to be around for the long haul on this, not just this show, but the entire Immortal universe. And those of you who want to sit,
read?
Yeah, there are. Okay, so that's the first thing I was going to say, Ashley. You and I are going to re-dive into, we've already started it, in fact, we're going to re-dive into the Vampire Lestat novel. And instead of one episode for the whole book, which is what we did originally, we're going to break it down at least 3 or 4 episodes, probably maybe as many as 5 or 6. I don't think we'll do an episode for every part of the novel, because some of them are pretty short, but so that's coming. We're also going to sprinkle in some movie episodes, not movie commentaries like we did, but we'll watch a movie together and then we'll talk about it in the episode that week. I know for a fact we're going to start with The Lost Boys. That'll probably be our first thing that we do after we do our season recap for Interview with the Vampire. We'll go to The Lost Boys. I think you and I talked about this off air, Ashley, but I think there's a lot in that movie that really inspired, especially the 94 movie. But I think some of Anne's conception of Lestat was influenced by the way that those vampires were portrayed and some of the things that they did in that movie.
Yes, and we're talking this is one of my very early vampire movies. Certainly the first vampire movie I ever watched that was set in the current time period. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's very close to my heart. And also, the mere presence of Kiefer Sutherland makes it very close to my heart as well. I want to party with him. I want to party with him. I want to party with that man. Okay,
so I have always wanted to party with Kiefer Sutherland, but also been secretly terrified that he would pick on me and throw me out of the group once we were there.
Oh, see, Brett thinks that if I became friends with Kiefer Sutherland, he would end up dead. Because we've all watched too much 24. We've all watched way too much 24,
Damn it, Ashley, I can't do it.
I can't do it. We only have 24 hours to save the city.
But the other thing that we're going to cover for sure is the 1990s Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's version of Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, and the transcendent Gary Oldman.
Oh, man, he's so good in that. Holy shit.
Yeah, that movie's so good. Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves actually got married, maybe. So, like, that's how good a movie that is.
Yep.
So we're going to do that. I want to do a silly one in between here. And so I've got a question for you guys. We're going to put this in the show notes. We'll put it in the Facebook group, but we'd love feedback. If we were going to do sort of a comedic vampire movie, would you prefer the Buffy the Vampire Slayer film with, speaking of Sutherland's, Donald Sutherland in the Watcher role?
R.I.P. Donald.
Right? Yes, what a great actor, man.
God, I love him too.
Seems to be a pretty good human being too. So R.I.P. to him. And also, instead of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we could do Once Bitten, which is a great comedic film from the early '80s with a very young Jim Carrey.
And Lauren Hutton.
I think it is. Whoever it is, she's so hot in that movie. I'm
pretty sure it's Lauren Hutton.
Oh my God, she's so beautiful in that movie.
Oh, it's so good. Or if you have another idea, throw that out there too.
Yeah, let us know. So anyway, we're going to do some movies. We'll do some book covers.
Monster Squad could be fun, Joel.
The Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
You know, hey, look, we might have to save that one until closer to the Talamasca launch because the Talamasca is going to be our true psychic detectives.
Like our monsters. Yeah, all of them. That's great. I love it.
Anyway, there you go, folks. Let us know what you'd like us to cover as far as movies go in between seasons, and go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get those numbers up, and we'll put out some videos for you from here on out. Thanks to everybody for the feedback. Thanks for everybody for listening and joining the clubhouse. It's a hell of a lot more fun with more people than just me and Ashley talking to each other each week. Yeah.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. And it's so cool to see our numbers growing. I think a lot of people are finding us. Some of you guys are recommending us, which we greatly appreciate. And it's just, we try to keep all of our conversations really positive, and that doesn't mean you can't have a fucking beef. Of course you can have a beef, but we don't want to have the beefs with each other. We want to have the beef with the content, and then we can talk it out. But we try to keep it a pretty positive place where you're safe to enjoy what you enjoy.
100%, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
And please also continue to help us learn and grow as people, because we love that.
Yes, please. All right, there we go. Y'all, if you thought this episode was bad, next episode is going to make a lot of us feel better. I'm no spoilers.
I'm excited for it. I can't fucking wait.
I tell you what I most can't wait for. I can't wait for the season 3 renewal announcement. I would bet money that we're going to get it next week with the season finale.
I think we're going to get a title card right at the end of this, the next episode. I think that will be what you get, Joel.
Boy, if we don't, it's going to be very, very sad for me. It's going to be a long wait to Sunday, regardless.
It is. It really is. They got to have moving to do.
That's right. I don't think we said congratulations on the new house, Ashley.
Thank you.
Just purchased a home.
We just bought a new house, y'all. So yeah, I will. I'll do my season finale episode on video from my new digs.
Excellent. So see, there we go. All it took was a home buying purchase for us to move to video land, guys. That's what we needed.
Mortgage later, and off we are.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week. Until then, go and watch the season finale of season 2 of Interview with the Vampire, and join us again here on the Articulate Coven. Until then, we've been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thanks for listening to The Articulate Coven. You can join our community on Facebook by following the links in the show notes or searching for Articulate Coven on Facebook. You can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at articulatecoven.com, and share us with your Anne Rice loving friends.